Imagine that some of your colleagues have started having their meetings in complete darkness. What do you think when you hear this idea? What do you think right now? Do you think they're crazy, wild, or strange in some way? Or do you start to look for potentials or reasons why they may do this? Looking for what could be the benefits, the positives they are trying to work out by shutting down the windows, blocking them, and turning off the lights. If you want to become a more visionary thinker and more learning-oriented innovator, then you'll need to be highly curious and open-minded when somebody presents wild ideas, novel ideas, original ideas to you, or when you experience situations where people react or behave different from how you would react in those situations. We often use intuition to help us make a decision or make an idea evaluation on new ideas. We also use criteria. We set up criteria that are important for us to distinguish between the good and the bad ideas. But no matter how good we are at intuition and how good criteria we use for evaluating these new ideas, we often end up in a discussion either with ourselves or with our colleagues. We often don't even think about discussion as a method or an approach, but rather the way we do it. It's not considered as a method you take out of a toolbox and say, okay, now we will evaluate these ideas using discussion. No, it's a more natural approach. It's like a second nature to us. And discussion have some very good values and steps you go through for evaluating ideas. But it also has some flaws, in particular when we talk about new ideas, novel ideas, and original ideas. Try to think about discussion in terms of 3 steps. Step 1, positioning. So the first step in a discussion would always be to position yourself in what idea you believe in most. Imagine there are 4 or 5 ideas on the table, and you have to discuss which of these ideas is best for your problem. What kind of ideas should be turned into a solution, implemented, and solve your problem. So in order to start the discussion, the first step is that everybody, or most of the team, would take up a position. Like, I like idea A, and another one would like idea B, a third one maybe also like idea B, and so forth. Now we can move on to step 2. Because everybody have taken a position, they've made up their mind and clearly shown to everybody else what idea they believe is the best. So step 2 is about argumentation. We defend the idea we have positioned for, and we attack the others' ideas, their other positions, in order to clearly show why your position, why your idea is better than the others. In a perfect discussion, everyone will end up clearly seeing which idea is best for the solution. No matter what kind of position they're taking up, everyone will agree that idea number A, B, C, D, or F, or whatever idea it is the best for this solution. But not always do discussions end up like this. Sometimes you cannot agree completely, or it's not easy for everyone to give up their position and just follow another person's position at the end. And therefore we have step 3. Step 3 is about persuasion. It's about using other means than arguments in order to win this discussion. So here comes the biggest problem about discussion for evaluating, in particular evaluating novel ideas or ideas that are original in some way. It's far easier to produce lots of arguments and really good arguments for ideas you know well, for ideas you maybe have used for several years or seen in use for several years, or you have lots of experience with in some other way, than it is to produce lots of arguments and really good arguments for ideas that you just came up with 5 minutes ago or last night. As a result, discussion or standard discussion favors existing ideas, ideas we know well, and ideas from the past. It doesn't give much support for the novel, the new ideas. And if you want to be more visionary, you have to be careful about just using discussion to evaluate these kind of ideas. Another problem about discussion is how it can lead to a culture of conformity, that it can create a strong stubbornness inside of us. mainly because we are forced to take strong positions as step one, before we share our perspectives, before we share our insights and experiences about these ideas with each other. This strong positioning puts each of us into a corner where we risk losing face if we were wrong. If we start to defend a particular idea and we realize this was a really bad idea, then we can lose face in front of our colleagues or whoever we have this meeting with. We can come to look like we are not very rational because we defended the wrong idea. We can lose a discussion because we are forced to take up a positioning before we even understand all the details, all the perspectives about the ideas. And in the long run, over time, if we continuously have to evaluate novel, wild ideas in this way, we will get to know each other very well about who likes what types of ideas, because we like to be consistent in what type of idea we like, and therefore we become stubborn. Even if better and more inspiring ideas pops up, we still have to be consistent, or we like to be consistent with what we have said and believed in before. So we tend to reject new ideas, not because we think they're bad, but because they doesn't fit into the kind of ideas I normally defend, I normally position myself for. But idea evaluation should never be about winning or losing an argument. It should always be about learning, because we have to learn and gain new insights, sharing the insight we have and understandings we have about the particular idea we are evaluating before we make up our mind. And thus we can make better decisions, we can make more visionary decisions, because we focus on learning as much as possible about these ideas before we make up our mind, before we make any positioning. So we need a new discipline that can take us away from this typical, almost second nature way of idea evaluation called discussion. A new discipline that can help us stay more open-minded and curious for longer before we make up our mind. So, whenever you are presented with new ideas, or you experience someone handling a situation different from how you would have handled it, make the first step to postpone making up your mind, to postpone judging it, to postpone having an attitude or an opinion about the idea or situation. Next, now we can start exploring all the perspectives, and we start with the positive perspectives, the positive, potential positive consequences that might happen if the idea was implemented. Do your best and try to be as perseverant as you can, helping each other, trying to look for more and more positive potentials, positive consequences of the idea. Try to think about it as a spiral effect, that everyone helps looking for the positive potentials, regardless of their immediate reaction toward the idea. By going into this spiral effect, when you hear other people talking about positive potentials, you start seeing even more positive potentials, and they start to see even more. And hereby, this cognitive stimulation helps you getting into positive perspectives that none of you maybe have thought about at the beginning of your meeting. Now we start looking for potential negative consequences of the idea. We explore as much as we can, help each other using cognitive stimulation by sharing them loud and helping each other looking for even more in this spiral effect as we did with the positives. And it's important to think about them as two complete distinct steps. Make sure everybody clearly understands that now we don't look anymore for the positives, it's a different step. By separating this exploration into a distinct step one, looking for positives, and a distinct step two, looking for negatives, we can avoid getting back into the discussion mode where we are weighting and balancing the positives against the negatives. And this will help us stay more curious and open-minded throughout the idea evaluation. We repeat these 3 steps for each of the ideas you have under idea evaluation. So let's say you have 5 ideas you want to evaluate. You take one at a time. Never put the ideas up against each other in this idea evaluation. Never look for all the positives for all 5 ideas and then all the negatives for all 5 ideas. No, look at one idea at a time, evaluating this idea on its own. Again, By doing that, we avoid getting back into the discussion mode where we are trying to defend or attack and positioning ourselves. We allow ourselves to stay open-minded by taking one idea at a time. Now you have been evaluating all the ideas you have on your table, but you've done that with an open mind. No positioning, no favorite ideas. You just tried your best to look for all the positives and all the negatives in each idea on its own. Hereby, with this open mind, you may be able to make new combinations where you take some parts from one idea, another part from a second idea, and maybe another part from a third or fourth idea, turning into a completely new idea that may have some of the positive consequences involved without so many of the negatives. So basically, because you stayed open-minded during this idea evaluation, it's worth reserving some time towards the end to look at potential combinations of your ideas, see if you can come up with a completely new holistic idea before afterwards you make up your mind, what idea do you like most? What idea may be the best for your problem?